So hello. We are
Hello.
back again with another very exciting crime fiction manuscript showcase. And I'm here this evening with writer Adrian Frost. Adrian, very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
So would you like to
Thank you
just
for this
start
opportunity.
off? No, my pleasure. It's fascinating hearing. I'm very much looking forward to hearing about your book. So would you like to just start off then telling us a little bit about who you are and where you live?
Sure. So my name is Adrian Frost, and I was born in Wolverhampton and raised in Wolverhampton in the West Midlands, but now live in Suffolk with my wife and children. And the Wolverhampton connection is important for my novel as well. We'll discuss that today.
Fantastic. And so how long have you been writing then, and sort of where are you in your writing journey currently?
Sure. So I've been writing little bits and bobs ever since school days. And in fact, I went to a school reunion some years back and met the guy I hadn't seen for 20 years. And he said, "Oh, Adrian, keep looking for your name on the bookshelves, because I always thought you were going to end up being an author." And it made me think, oh, okay, maybe I should have done something about that then. So I started doing some more serious writing, or more writing. It wasn't serious. It turned out to be a pantomime that I did in our local village. And so I wrote a version of The Emperor's New Clothes, which is a great story for adaptation, I feel. Has its challenges. We put that on, and it was the success of that was really gratifying. It was lots of good feedback, lots of laughter and applause, and that spurred me on to think, okay, let's take this a stage further. Let's do a novel, and that's what I've been working on for the last year and a half or so.
Fantastic. Gosh, that pantomime sounds absolutely amazing. I think, what's brilliant about that as well is that, it really, I'm sure, will have helped you to, understand about, drama and sort of pacing and tension and story. And did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I really did. Yeah. And you're right. The plotting of it, in some ways, pantomimes follow a very fixed sort of plot, but this one was a little bit different because it's not a traditional pantomime, and it was great fun, all leading up to that crucial scene, where the king bears all. It was quite spectacular. All done in the best possible taste, I have to say.
Of course. So just to be clear then from the outset, so what is it that you're looking for then? Are you looking for an agent or an editor or both?
Yeah, no, I'm looking for an agent. I really want to get my novel out to the widest possible audience. That's what motivates me. I'm really keen to get it out there, and I think I need an agent to help me do that.
Fantastic. So we're going to just talk about your work and your manuscript in a second then. So just before we do that, I would love to hear about some of your influences. So, which crime writers, or which writers really in general, do you like? And whose books, this is partly me being nosy, whose books have you read recently where you've just thought, oh God, Jamie so-and-so, I wish I'd read that, I've written that.
Right, okay. So yeah, the books that I really wish I'd written myself are the Mick Herron Slow Horses spy novels. I just think they're great. It's so well written. I just love it. But I'm not really quite writing in that genre. The book I'm reading at the moment is Mark Billingham's Rabbit Hole, and that is wonderful. And the voice that he's created for that main character is just absolutely brilliant. And I love the humour that he puts into his novels, and that's something I've tried to do. And similarly, Simon Brett, the recent novel of his, The Clutter Corpse, was another unique sort of voice. I thought it was a really good character created there. But otherwise, yeah, just I love a good tight plot. So things like an old classic is Ira Levin's Kiss Before Dying.
Wow, yeah.
So tight, yeah, really, really good. Yeah, so those are the sort of things.
Fantastic. So let's just talk a little bit then about your manuscript. So do you want to just tell us about, so what's the subgenre and the length and sort of state of play with that?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So it's a cozy crime novel. I suppose light-hearted. I'd say it's also gripping and all those good things. And it's about 83,000 words long. It's standalone novel, or works as a standalone novel, but I've got a character arc that would stretch over 3 books, but for my main character, and there could be, who knows after that. But three's more than plenty. I'm halfway through a sequel, writing a sequel at the moment, so that seems to be going well.
And where are you with rewriting it? So it's finished, presumably, and
yeah, I've had feedback from some beta readers, and I've incorporated comments and shifted things around. So yeah, it's ready to request now.
Fantastic.
I'm open to further comments from agents. Obviously, they'll always have a slightly different approach and things that they'd like to see, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, that's just inevitable to to a degree, isn't it? So just thinking about who, sort of where your work then might sit on a shelf. So if you were thinking about in a bookshop, then whose books would it, sort of what what section would it be with, or whose books might it be next to?
Well, I can see it appealing to readers who've enjoyed Richard Osman's Thursday Murder Club, and that also the people who like the Death in Paradise series on television, and the books by Robert Thorogood.
Yeah,
I think it fits in with that sort of genre, I would say. I think it could be a sort of novel that book clubs could get involved with as well, because I think it's got a sort of theme that I think lends itself to discussion. I think a lot of people would identify with the main character and want to talk about his dilemma and stuff.
I'm going to ask you about themes in a bit. It's one of my favourite subjects. So, does this manuscript have a title yet?
Yes, I should have mentioned that earlier. I think I should mention it as often as possible. It's called The Secret Millionaires Club.
Fantastic. Yeah. Whoa, The Secret Millionaires Club. I like that. It's got a really great ring.
Yeah, the title came pretty early on, and I thought, I think there's mileage in that. I was a bit disappointed when Richard Osman came up with his Thursday Murder Club, so maybe I have to change mine to Secret Millionaire Society or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we won't worry about him. I mean, who's he after all?
Yes.
And so, whereabouts is the Secret Millionaires Club set? Tell us a little bit about that. And can
I give you my elevator pitch?
Yeah, please do.
So it's when a West Midlands hipster wins big time on the lottery, he opts for no publicity, but he's lured instead into a clandestine organisation for millionaires, where it seems that everyone has a secret to hide, and some people will kill to hide it. So yeah. So yeah, it's all about a guy who's kind of coasting in life a bit. He's got a really nice, easy job and a really nice set of friends that he meets on a Friday evening and everything. And then one evening, he wins big time on the rollover lottery. And that obviously changes his life. And he's scared stiff of what the changes are going to mean to him, because he doesn't want to lose his friends and his comfortable lifestyle. He's excited about all the money, but he's nervous at that best way of handling that, and that's how he sort of ends up getting advice and getting lured into this society. And then there's a parallel story where a woman has lost her husband, who's been killed unexpectedly, and she's trying to find out what's happened to him, and the two characters meet up and start exploring the nature of this society to find out kind of
Yeah. And so
scene
whereabouts
set
set,
down.
did you say?
So that action, so the beginning action is in the Midlands, but then it moves. This society has a private yacht in the south of France, moored off the south of France, and they go on to a private island as well, where there's all kinds of fabulous settings and so forth. Yeah, so it's brilliance and excitement.
Amazing. So from the Midlands to the south of France.
Yes,
so
indeed. Yeah.
Do you have any connections then with either of those settings? Where did the ideas for those come from?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I was born and bred in the Midlands, and I love that sort of deadpan sense of humour you get in the Midlands. I tried to capture some of that with the characters, and I wish I had a lot more experience of the millionaire lifestyle down in the south of France. But what I have got is one of the triggers that made me write the book was I was on holiday down in the Mediterranean, and I was in a harbour somewhere, and I saw this huge super yacht come in, and there were all these liveried crew cabin people on board, and it looked just fantastic. And I stood staring at it for, I don't know, hours, just thinking what goes on that boat, what stories could take place there, and that's where a lot of the ideas came from.
Yeah, they're great places, aren't they? I mean, I haven't been for years, but I mean, I remember walking around the harbour at like sort of Cap d'Antibes, and it's, you know, it's really not it's not Eastbourne, is it?
No. Yeah, no, it's definitely otherworldly. Very good. Yeah.
So you sort of slightly preempted my next question then, which was what was it then that motivated you, to write this particular story?
Yeah, so it was, as I say, that was one of the triggers. Another one was the sort of conversations I'd have at work with people on our lottery syndicate, and sort of what would we do? What would happen? How would it feel to win that, multi-million pounds like that, and how would it change things? And yeah, that's sort of set me off, and this thing of, like, I want to stretch my wings a bit and do the crime novel.
And so, in terms of the story, then, what's the inciting incident that sort of sets the whole thing off?
It's kind of two parallel things. There's the big win, which sets our main protagonist off on this journey of, he's got a bit of sort of self-discovery of, okay, who am I and what do I want out of life? But then there's the other protagonist who's trying to find out what happened to her husband, and is sort of trying to find out why suddenly she's inherited a large pile of money as well, and she's not sure where that's come from and what that's all about. Mm-hmm. So it's both of those two people dealing with these unexpected fortunes.
So you mentioned your characters then. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about those? So who's your protagonist, and who's the protagonist got round him?
Sure. So Ian Tranter is my main protagonist, and he's the one who's going to carry through the series of novels. And he's a kind of easygoing guy, a bit of a slacker perhaps. He's not. He'll do the minimum really, and he's got a bunch of pals that he meets up with, kind of geeky pals that just enjoy their pint of beer on a Friday night, and then when he just as he's comes into this fortune, he meets a girl who is she's interested, and they start a relationship, but he's never quite sure. Well, that's a bit of a coincidence that she's suddenly around on the scene when I've come into all this money. So there's a bit of tension there. Is she interested for him, or just the money, or not? Yeah. drive some of the sort of subplot going forward.
And so, just before we look at the other characters, so why should we root for him though? So you said he's a bit of a slacker, and then this lady comes along and jolts him a little bit out of his slackery. Just made up that word. So where, why should readers be rooting for him if he's such a slacker?
Well, I think it's that sort of identifying. I think people who, anyone who's sort of thinking about what would it be like to win multi-million pounds, I think they'd identify with his predicament really, because he's a nice guy. He wants to do good with his money and things like that. He's just nervous about, if I give it all away, well, that's not right, and if I'm too free with it, and that's not right either, and I don't want to lose my friends. So I think people will sort of identify with that sort of predicament. They might get a bit frustrated with him, I think, that he's he's a bit of a ditherer sometimes, but I think they'll root for him because he's got that sort of genial, nice guy sort of feel to him, and I think his friends support him through that as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, actually, that's just, you took the word from my mouth, really. He sounds very sort of relatable and human. I was thinking, when I was sort of rather meanly saying, why should we root for him if he's such a slacker? But actually, well, I mean, it's the perfect thing, isn't it, of your flawed character, etc. Yeah. And it's a very human.
And he does start to progress, so he starts to sort of pick up a bit more gumption and ends up obviously sort of solving the crime and being the hero. So sounds good.
Well, it sounds like you've done an excellent job with your plot and your writing then, because from what you're saying, it sounds as if he is thrust on this journey as a result of your story, and has to maybe come to terms with a few things. So who's he got around him then? Tell us about some of the other characters.
So one of the important characters is he meets a private banker who's kind of a bit mysterious. He's sort of a bit fearsome at first. He sort of kind of mocks our hero for not knowing what he wants to do with his money, and sort of says, "Oh, you don't understand about money. Let me sort of sort this out for you." And you start to worry a bit for him that he got into the wrong sort of company here. So he ends up being, he turns out to be the driving force of this secret millionaires club, and he's got lots of other people that he's kind of playing with. He's a bit of a Svengali sort of character that's sort of interested in manipulating people behind the scenes. So there's that going on. And then there's a rival for the girl's love interest. So he's got a three-way thing there going on. He's got to fight for this woman if he wants her, and that's going on as well.
Ooh.
So there's quite a few diverse characters going on there.
Fantastic. And so you mentioned earlier on about themes, and I said I was going to come back to it. So do tell us about. So what are some of the themes then in the story?
So the first theme I'd say is sort of the fish out of water. This guy from the West Midlands suddenly hobnobbing with multi-millionaires. So that's a difficult thing for him to work out. Then there's the theme of that money changes people and erodes trust. And I think there's some real I'll have some fun with that. Then it's a really kind of corny, old-fashioned theme, but it's the all that glitters is not gold kind of theme, and that actually there are some things that money can't buy, and that friendship is really everything. So it's calls back on his friends, and all the other characters kind of find their stories resolving through friendship as well.
Oh, I like that. And as soon as you said it as well, it really made me think, oh, I want to know how it ends now. You know, and obviously don't tell me, no spoilers, but it's good. You know, if you're
I'm very
talking
pleased
about
because
my
I've got
book,
well, I've got a very big twist at the end of the book as well. It's that none of my readers have seen coming so far. So I'm really
oh,
proud of that at the moment.
fantastic. Well, don't say too much about that because we don't want to, you know, to spoil things. But I was going to ask you about the pace of the novel. So, you know, what can you tell us? What can readers expect from that?
So yeah, the best comment I've had from a couple of people is it's a page turner. So I'm really that's what I was aiming for. So it's good to hear that. I wanted it to be one of those sort of, I see this as a sort of holiday novel where, you know, you just want to keep going, you know, get sunburnt while you're out reading it. So yeah, it's short chapters, fast pace, lots of switching between the different characters as well.
Fantastic. And so if you were to talk about the novel then having a hook, what can you tell us about that?
Okay, so it's kind of probably go back to some of the things I've said, that I think it would tie in, you know, I feel that publishers could be interested in this, that for anyone who's ever sort of dreamt about what it'd be like to win the lottery, there's that aspect to it.
I'm sure none of us have. None of us have.
I still do. But the other thing is, I think it plays well in the current sort of times we live in, which can be a bit bleak from time to time. This is a sort of an escapist novel. It's in sort of old-fashioned. When I say old-fashioned, you know, I think it's a bit like the sort of Agatha Christie stuff. And I think, you know, that's what I think Richard Osman was doing with his Thursday Murder Club, was kind of setting up an environment where crimes could be investigated, and it's not a police procedural, and it's not sort of a gritty thing. Murders and things can still be quite shocking, but they're not sickening. You know, they're not sort of ones to put you off your dinner. They're you know, it's the entertainment factor.
Yeah, fantastic. And you know, when you were talking about the setting as well, and you know, sort of millionaires, yachts, and you know, the south of France, and I was thinking, yeah, you know, that sounds really perfect right now. You know, the kind of autumn evenings, and you know, darkness sort of setting in, she says, sort of looking out of the window. So yeah, well, that sounds fantastic. So let me just turn over the page of my questions. So we've talked a little bit about the pace, and yeah, so you kind of said really why you think it you know, it could appeal at the moment. Yeah, I mean, if you think about Richard Osman's books, you know, then the sort of his paperback is, well, I don't know, I think, you know, paperback's probably been #1 in the charts for, you know, centuries. So #2's out, and yeah. So you know, it's obviously, I think that sort of that subgenre you know, is appeal. It certainly appeals, you know, certainly appeals to me. So just before we finish then, obviously what we need to talk about is how people can contact you. So, you know, what is the best way?
Probably the best way is probably Twitter. It's Adrian_Frost on Twitter. And yeah, that's probably the best way. I'm fairly new to Twitter, but I'm enjoying the people I'm connecting with on there very much. So yeah, more the merrier.
And you're saying you're, you know, sort of networking and getting to know people, and you know, finding out what's going on. And
yeah, I've just recently joined the Suffolk Writers Group, which is a really great little group we've got going, and it's sort of an online thing, but we're also meeting up. So that's really nice. Yeah, that's for doing. In fact, I'm helping set the daily writers prompts for that, and that's really rewarding, and seeing people's styles and stuff. So. That's
I
great.
love writing prompts. I like writing them, actually, I must admit. I was looking today.
Yes.
Stuff, I've got on my computer, and I think I must have got about 8 billion writing prompts on my computer for various different groups and courses and things that I've run over the years. So
it can be a distraction from getting down and writing your work in progress. That's the only danger.
Well, it was actually work. I mean, it was for something that I was working on, but yeah, nevertheless, all these things can be a distraction. So just before we finish then, was there anything else that you wanted to sort of, now's your chance, anything else you wanted to just kind of add or say about yourself or your writing?
No, I think I've covered everything. I think all I'd say is thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been really, really, really good fun.
It's well, absolutely, my pleasure. So a page-turning cozy mystery then set in the south of France called The Secret Millionaires Club, and ready to be requested. So Adrian, it's lovely to to chat with you. I'm going to press end now on the recording.